Hello, my friends. I am embarking on another video. All right. Another blue review. We're going to head into the 80s here. Number of blue reviews I've done, that is. I'm going to talk about another pretty extreme and taboo film that I really love, that I still have on DVD, but still is not on Blu-ray, and I don't know what the hell is up with that. It's the Criterion Collection. I've got the case right here. Let's take a look. Bad, can you see it? Bad timing. A film by Nicolas Roeg, starring Theresa Russell, who I believe became Mrs. Nicolas Roeg in real life. This is the Criterion Collection number. I can't read it. 103, it looks like. Here's the back. I cherish this DVD because the Blu-ray has not been announced. I don't know what the hell is up. This is in my top, I'd say 30 films of all time. Favorite Nick Roeg movie? My favorite Theresa Russell movie? Don't know if it's my favorite Harvey Keitel performance, but it's up there. Art Garfunkel, yeah, because he's not much of a track record. He was good in Carnal Knowledge. He's a really good actor, mostly known as a musician, but he's definitely my favorite of Simon and Garfunkel, musically and persona-wise. Paul Simon never really clicked with me. He seemed kind of like a bitter genius kind of guy, whereas Garfunkel hung back and he could really sing, and he had kind of a mystique about him. And it's parlayed into this movie. Nicolas Roeg did other films with musicians as stars, like The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie, and of course Mick Jagger in Performance. Both classics, epics, and I have both of those on Blu-ray, so I don't think I've ever reviewed them. Maybe one day. I'm a big Nicolas Roeg fan. Theresa Russell was his muse. She was in this film. What else by him? Track 29, Cold Heaven, Insignificance, where she plays Marilyn Monroe. That's out on the Criterion Collection Blu-ray. In this movie, she plays a female. She plays a character, a young lady named Elena, and I don't know, it's hard to describe. I mean, the movie has a lot of Rogue stuff, but this is even more extreme. Kind of has a fractured timeline, back and forth, no chronology, no linear chronology, and basically you're starting with a woman who is dying. They have to do a tracheotomy on her. She can't breathe. That's Theresa Russell, and the only witness is Art Garfunkel, and they're questioning him. This is in Austria, where this is going on. And they're, are you a friend or your boyfriend? And you start to flash back over her life and his life and their life together. You see that she has a much older husband named Stefan, played by Denham Elliott. I want to go ahead and say at this point that music is used brilliantly in this movie, as in a lot of Rogue's films, including the ones I've already mentioned. The movie starts with Invitation to the Blues by Tom Waits, which is just devastating way to start an emotionally charged film like this. And then the scene with Stefan, it's Paco Belcanon. And D, you really kind of can't go wrong with that in any context, as far as I'm concerned. It's like the perfect piece of music, Baroque perfection. Later, they use the Who Are You, to devastating effect. But what you start to see is this little mosaic forming of, as she's dying, and Garfunkel's guy is the Alex, Dr. Alex Linden, I think his character's name. He's like a psychiatrist. You see him and her getting to know each other, having fun, doing kind of intellectual games, exercises, which, he's a lot deeper and more introspective than her, but she's kind of full of life. She's playful. She's fun. And, it's really, he's one of these guys, he overthinks. He wants something deep with her that she may not be capable of giving. But at the same time, he is sexually obsessed with her. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy who's probably been neurotically repressed, being kind of a geekish, psychiatrist dude, and this vivacious young woman is pretty much available at any time for him. It brings out that side in him, and he not only, I think he's got all this wellspring of bitterness and resentment, loneliness, maybe, um, about her freedom and her. I don't know. It's to where he's not just happily appreciative of her in a loving way. He becomes desperately obsessive of her and perversely attached to her. I mean, the subtitle of the movie is "Essential Obsession," and it's true. It's like it skirts the line. What is love and what is lust? What is this obsession? Between two people who seemingly are not intellectually connecting, but there's this desperation, this need. I mean, her need is like this validation by him, and his need is, uh, I need this woman to, experience this other side of life that I'm too repressed to experience. And once I get a taste of it, I'm fucking addicted forever. It's an intense film. It's not a date movie. I wrote a review of it years ago, and I said that. And like I said, it has this jagged, fractured um, timescape that leaps back and forth as you start to kind of form a picture of this strange obsession as he's kind of starts analyzing her, and he's kind of judging her, and she's kind of wanting to be free, and you're not sure whose sympathies of anybody to feel. In a way, Harvey Keitel plays the detective. He's trying to unravel what happened to Milena when she's wheeled into the hospital in the beginning. And he has this funny accent. He plays an Austrian guy, and Harvey Keitel with his thick, New York accent, doing other accents is kind of always funny. Like Last Temptation of Christ, to where they had to dub him in Saturn III. But he says something like, these creatures, they're not like us. I mean, in other words, he's been hurt by a woman like this too, a woman who is kind of incapable of fidelity, is too spontaneous. I mean, like there's a scene early on where they're hanging out, and she just starts making out with this random dumbass in Austria, and he's he's confused about this because he can't. Garfunkel, Alex can't really compete with these kind of machismo dudes who just whatever, and he's very judgmental, and she's just kind of whatever, sex, drugs, self destruction, and she kind of goes down the spiral as the movie. I don't want to say progresses, but lurches forward. It's rough because he's obsessed with her sexually. You know, she brings out that life in him, but there's this dread, because he can't control her because she's this free spirit, and she's too free. She is self destructive. She is a creature of whim. Um, so it's like each of these characters, you could admire things about them in and of themselves, but put them together, and it's toxic, as they say. It becomes more so as the movie goes on, and it kind of spirals down into this. Alex Linden goes into this really dark, deep, dark place, constantly thinking he's one step ahead intellectually. He's, Mr. Cerebral. He's, Mr. I'm a liberal psychiatrist dude, and I'm an intellectual guy, and he's really not he's a cerebral guy. He's really not a physical guy. He's very slender. He's very gawky, and he has like the big hair kind of receding, but like big and fuzzy. But she brings out that side of him that's life and joy and fun. Yet at the same time, there's a darkness to it because there's no commitment on her part for long, and he can't really fathom her where she's coming from, but he still desires to control her until finally it gets to this point where he's tested so much in his mind. He's tried so hard to hold on, and they'll get into a fight, that'd be terrible, and then she'll flash her leg or her hip, and he'll just start fucking her like on the stairs and shit. And meanwhile we keep flashing to the president. Harvey Keitel is he's sympathizing with him. He's like confess, confess. You will feel better. I want you to confess. He wants to confess that he's the one, Alex, who put Elena in this position where she's dying and can't breathe. And through all these fractured flashbacks, flash forwards, it really does end up that in this just madness of desperation, he has drugged her. She's probably already pretty drunk anyway. I can't remember, but I think he like drugs her. Um, this is the kind of movie you need to be a little tipsy to talk about. So wild, intense. Garfunkel's creepy in this. He's really intense. And Keitel, his Keitel. He's barely contained, but he's still Keitel. It's like in Blue Collar where he's Mr. Mild all the way to the end, and he's like, "Come here, you nigga shit," and he's losing his mind. By the way, here's a cameo from Kal-El, who I just posted a new video about. Come on, buddy. Come on camera. There you go. Say hi to your adoring fans. They love you. They think you're beautiful. So he's having none of it. So it's just this weird. It's like through Keitel, you kind of see how a man could descend to this depths. A guy who has been tempted by this other world, this other kind of woman, this other just almost preternaturally elemental and yet self-destructive person, and it becomes so attractive and so compelling. And Keitel kind of breaks it down for him psychologically for the psychiatrist, and he says, "I've spent a good part of my life trying to figure out what normal means." That's Dr. Alex Linden, and this Harvey Keitel. He's like, "Well, do you think she was normal?" And it's like, so he's kind of wanting to share their judgments, and he's kind of like, confess, confess. But Linden thinks he's too good for Keitel, and it's almost like what you read Keitel is this. He takes it like personally, like it's like, "I've been there, buddy. I'm trying to bond with you. I know you went over the edge, but I feel like I need to connect here. I felt this." And Alex isn't having any of it. His ego is too much. And what drives when he drives himself, when everything drives him over the edge. Like I said, he's basically drugged Elena, and she's unconscious. He strips her and he rapes her, and he's kind of pitiful. It's like the first time you see them having sex where they're both completely naked, and of course she's very voluptuous, and he's very skinny and gawky, and he's just like pathetically, while he's kind of plowing into her, he's kind of like, "I love you, I'm desperate," and it's a tragic and sad and sick, tormented thing. He can never have her. She's not the kind of woman that will commit, that will pledge to him, and he's not the kind of guy who will settle. And so the irresistible force, immovable object ends up being kind of a catatonic, almost necrophiliac rape scene, which physically pushes her over the edge to where she's choking, she's dying. And then we get back to the beginning where everything unspools, and Keitel isn't getting his confession, and he's wounded emotionally, I guess, as a man, as a detective, whatever. He creates this uh, kind of three-pronged kind of triangulation here with this very kind of sick and sad. I don't know. It's the kind of relationship that I think maybe a lot of people have had at least once. I know I have at least once. No, I didn't rape a catatonic girlfriend, but it's that sick desperation where you can't get a commitment from someone, but you keep holding on and you keep using your intellect to rationalize, whereas they're in an elemental fashion. They're either immature or they're just like a totally free spirit. You're never gonna get that from them, and really all you tangibly can get from them is sex. And so you every opportunity you get, that's what you try to get from it. It's some heavy stuff, man. So my cat won't get on camera again. He's kind of hanging out over here. I don't even see him. He's a handsome little boy. Oh, he's shy right now. He's rarely. She'll look at him. He's like, "Woohoo! Look at me!" So I'm gonna wrap this up. So this is my new blue review. This is probably the shortest one I've done in aeons, maybe ever. I love Bad Timing by Nicolas Roeg. It's just wow. It is a mind fuck. It's every kind of fuck, and it's every kind of um, it uses all these cinematic techniques to like convey these really dark, really pitiful, kind of pathetic, sad emotions about a relationship, an obsessive relationship that just can never work, you know. And I don't know, it hits close to home for me. I haven't had a relationship that's toxic in many years, but I have had one or two, and I'm sure many people, male and female, have. People have been on both sides, either side of the equation, the Alex or the Milena side of this scenario. Maybe some people have been on the Harvey Keitel side of it, looking out and going, "Hey, you know, I get it. I want to help, but at the same time, confess." He's brilliant in this, Keitel. Usually he's brilliant. Look at my buddy here waving his tail. So I'm going to split. This is probably the third or fourth video I've done tonight. I'm going to keep going till late. I'm going to stagger these over the next couple of days. Thank you so much. Please sign a petition if one exists to get Bad Timing from Criterion Collection onto Blu-ray so I can sell this DVD and get a beautiful Blu-ray of this incredible, important, beautifully shot, just mind-staggering flick. So thank you. I appreciate you watching.